What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol GOEV for Canoo Inc. On the left-hand side, we are looking at the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. Let's go ahead and start this one off by mapping out obvious areas of support and resistance. Then we'll address the elephant in the room. Of course, that's earnings announced after the bell today. So first thing that we want to see is support, obviously down here, has been violated. That is rather important, and I drew it higher at that open instead of the lower wick simply because we have more of a shelf here, right? A lot of data points are higher up, so we're kind of splitting the difference there, the importance of the lower wick and this prior shelf we had in here. That's why the number is 683. To the upside, what do we have as potential resistance? Well, we had this shelf in here as prior resistance here, then acting as support, and then once broken, kind of rolling over around that zone as well. So 787 will act as resistance to the upside. To the downside, what do we have underneath our day's close? Obviously, we're at that sort of double bottom, but there's really nothing here from at least this 3-year perspective. Yeah, there's really no price action from when this went live. So that being said, we're looking at a rather dismal outlook to the downside, given that there is no structure down there. Let's shift our attention over to the 30-minute time frame, turn on those extended hour session, and see what is going on with the earnings announcement thus far. So zooming in here, you can see that we're kind of dribbling lower. There are some upper wicks, so there have been some pops to the upside here, but they're getting sold off. So for the sake of today's video, let's just assume that we're opening very close to today's low of day and or a slight gap down. So what do we always like to do is play out the scenarios here. Let's go ahead and draw this in. For the sake of today's video and this example, let's say that maybe we open closer to this 640 mark as opposed to today's low. That's going to be our open. Let's say that we make a pre-market low somewhere around here, about 10 cents underneath, 631. Fine, right? For the sake of theory and the framework that you would trade this within, hopefully you find this useful. It's really what you need to be paying attention to here, not feelings, not news, none of that. If you open here, fail to make a new lower low underneath the pre-market low and trade back up through the open, that's your signal to go long. You take the long to close the gap up towards today's low, which as we know is going to be right here. The gap closes at $6.55. Now after that, start to look at those areas that we just mapped out here. So above we have 683. We know that's kind of the splitting of the difference here. Let's go ahead and actually pop this level on as well, 711, and see how that fared from the 30-minute perspective. So let's do something like this, scrunch this up, and let's actually just turn that off, those extended hour session, to see what's going on. And 711, so a little shelf of support in there. Let me zoom in so you can see that. So it's not like this level is for nothing, right? You can see that it did act, 711 right there. It should act as resistance if we really start making a move to the upside. Anything else in history? Not really from this 30-minute perspective. It's really going to come down to probably this one up next, around $7.60. Remembering that prior support here should now act as resistance when testing it from the bottom side to the top. So that's how I'm thinking about Canoo here as we head into the bell tomorrow at 9:30. Remember, a lot can happen between now and then, but you have the general framework and how you would use this. If we gap and go lower, what would the play be? Well, let's first make sure we can even take advantage of that. And I would say, no, there is no play to have to the downside, simply because if you look at what's going on here, hard to borrow, so you're not going to short the shares, and you're also having, terrible volume on the put side of the option chain. So I would say avoid it short. If you're long right now, use a stop loss, please. You have a framework to think about this potentially recovering to the upside, but if we take out that pre-market low, it's a gap and go. It's not something you really want to get wrapped up in. So if you enjoyed today's video or learned anything new, let me know down below in the comments section or by simply giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, we wish you a green trading week.